I just revisited Pokémon Legends Arceus. Yes, I'm gonna say Arceus, not Arceus. So I'm calling that now. If that's wrong, then let me know in the comments because I actually have no idea. I've heard both. Pokémon Legends Arceus came out in 2022, real early, right in January when the snow was falling. And I got a lot of good memories with this game. I remember buying it back on launch day and playing it all day. I couldn't get enough of it. It really stood out next to any other Pokemon game I had played. Now, I have a kind of an odd history with Pokemon. I like Pokemon in the fact that the characters are unique. I like the art style, and I really like the idea of playing Pokemon games and training up your Pokemon and just fighting and catching them and the randomness of it all. Seeing if you can get the most rare Pokemon out of anyone, out of all your friends. And I also had a really crazy obsession over Pokemon Go for the longest time, probably for like 3 years straight. At that time, I had kind of stopped playing Pokemon Go altogether. I understood Pokemon. I loved the feeling of it. Catching Pokemon, I got it. However, the mainline games I've never really been a fan of. Even to this day, I think they're kind of hard to get into. I totally understand that I'm the minority in this discussion, as Pokemon games are the best-selling Nintendo Switch games, Nintendo games, literally ever. Pokemon is a massive franchise that makes more money than Disney. I'm pretty sure like they're the most profitable IP that exists. I mainly didn't like them because they have always felt a little bit slow to me. Like RPGs are okay. I just didn't really love these RPGs. And especially in recent years with Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield, I thought that the Nintendo Switch could have done like a lot better with these games, like the visual aspect of it. And obviously with Scarlet and Violet, we all know how much of a train wreck that was graphically and performance-wise. There's people that are going to say that they don't know what I'm talking about, but we all know it's there. And obviously they run a little bit better on the Nintendo Switch too. But I mean, regardless of how they run, they just look all so cheap in a way still that it's hard for me to really dig into it because there's a lot of other games out there that just look so much better. I revisited Pokemon Legends Arceus because I wanted to remember what I had thought about the game and if it's actually worth playing again or before the new Pokemon Legends ZA game comes out. And as someone who has played Pokemon Legends ZA early, I feel like I'll have a good discussion point on this. But anyways, back when I bought Pokemon Legends Arceus in 2022 in January, I absolutely fell in love with it more than any other Pokemon game I had ever played. Like I was mentioning, I really tried to get into a lot of these Pokemon games, but I just couldn't. And Pokemon Legends was different because it kind of removed a lot of those big RPG mechanics that I really didn't like. I didn't like the slow feeling turn, then you turn, and then you fight, and then you fight it. Like I just didn't like it. I also didn't love the randomness. I didn't love how if I was accidentally walking through grass and I hit a Pokemon, I would need to wait for a menu to pop up for me to click run and then maybe run or leave that battle. I didn't love how menus showed up. I didn't love how I had to wait for things just to proceed through the game. I really didn't like that. So with Pokemon Legends Arceus, I saw that there was a lot of this that wasn't in there. I really enjoyed how I could just walk up to a Pokemon and instead of joining a battle and then trying to catch it, I could just catch it like Pokemon Go. This was literally like Pokemon Go, except you're playing as a character in game. You see a Pokemon in the wild, you throw your Pokeball at it, you cross your fingers, and if you wanted to, you could fight it, you could battle it, and then try and catch it after that. It had all of the core Pokemon mechanics and it eliminated the ones I didn't like. So needless to say, I was absolutely hooked on this game. It also helps, not at the time, I didn't love this at the time, but I got horrifically sick when this game came out. I remember I had such a bad fever, I was shaking, I was also sweating at the same time, like I was as sick as it could be. I had that sickness that you might have heard of that happened in 2020. You know that one? You know which one I'm talking about? I had that one for the very first time, like the day after I got this. I was feeling so horrible, but it was actually the perfect time because it allowed me to just sit and play this game and lay down. It gave me something to do. I wasn't sick for that long, maybe 2 days. But I had one really bad day that I'm so glad this game had come out. Yeah, just the concept of this game was really fun and I was so excited to play it. So when I actually did play it, there were a lot of things that I loved and that I didn't love. But first of all, the things I loved. The Pokédex. I really enjoyed the Pokédex more than any other mainline Pokemon game. Instead of just catching one Pokemon and then the full Pokédex entry completes, you had to actually do multiple things or catch multiple versions of the Pokemon for the full Pokédex to complete for that Pokemon. This game was based on a time where Pokemon actually didn't like you. You weren't teaming up with Pokemon. People were still learning about these little creatures. So it was your job to go and discover things about them. Go try and catch them and learn things about them. And then you would give your information of the Pokemon that you caught at the end of the day to your trainer, and the trainer would say, hey, good job. You also got these set amount of Pokemon that helped you travel or traverse around the maps. You got Weird Deer, or I think that's the name, where you can go around the map quickly and you can jump. Then you got the bird that allows you to fly and reach different parts of the terrain, all that stuff. There was one that helped you climb up mountains. There was a bear that helped you find treasure or random stuff, which wasn't that good, but it was there. And then of course there was the shark that you could swim on for the big water sections of the game. I always thought that the Pokemon games were just boring, as I mentioned, and I don't know, I thought they were so they were okay. But this was always the Pokemon game that I had been wanting. This was the one that I had been asking for. The open world Pokemon game where I can see Pokemon and go catch it. These Pokemon can also attack you. There was massive boss fights, and you even had this home village that allowed you to upgrade your character, upgrade the village around you. The whole Pokemon side of it all, with you upgrading your own characters, renaming them if you wanted to, moving around with them, like it just felt so surreal and really unbelievable that this game had even come out and existed at all. Like a lot of other people thought that this game was great and was what we really needed. It was also really easy to catch on to. Like it was easy to understand this game. Mainline Pokemon games, I still have some difficult time knowing what's even going on. But with Pokémon Legends Arceus, it was easy enough that I understood it. My non-gamer girlfriend at the time, now my wife, let's go, she played the entire game. She wasn't even that much of a gamer, but she played this full game till the credits rolled and really enjoyed it. And my brother Quentin walked in when I was playing this once, and he's like, oh, dang, that looks like a lot of fun. He bought it instantly. He bought it that same day, and he also extremely enjoyed it. My aunt, who doesn't play or who didn't play video games much, started with this one and literally completed the full Pokédex, caught every single Pokemon, and literally beat Arceus. What the heck? I don't even think I did that. There is just so much about this game that is perfect, but there's also a lot of things that I didn't really enjoy. Like, okay, for example, there's like this whole section at the beginning, and this happens with most Pokemon games, where they just talk and talk and talk and talk, and a lot of it is like obviously okay for the story, like I'm fine with it for the story, but there was just so many things that they would talk about that really wasn't necessary at all. Like, let me just play the dang game. If I was impatient, I probably would have just left and not picked it back up. Like, there was so much talking. There was no voice acting, which you shouldn't expect if you're into Pokemon. But the most unappealing thing about it was that it looked just awful. These cutscenes in Pokemon games are so cheaply made. They're not like CGI or anything. They're all in-game renders, which it's fine, but they just look bad. Like if a character moves to the left, their feet don't even move, or they barely move, and they just like quickly turn to the left. Their expression barely changes. It's just not appealing visually when it comes to the cut scenes. And well, I guess just in general, which brings me to my next point. This was not a graphically stunning game at all. Now, I just revisited it on the Nintendo Switch, and it looks a lot better than I remember, probably because it's on the Nintendo Switch 2. Oh yeah, the Nintendo Switch 2. But I remember like on the Switch 1, it looked bland. I mean, still, the textures, they need work. The environments aren't the most luscious, but they're still pretty decent. And the frame rate, I remember, chugged quite a bit on the Switch 1. Now, thankfully, on the Switch 2, a lot of the frame rate issues, the loading times are fixed. They're a lot better on the Switch 2 now. It's still 30 frames per second, but at least it's not hitching the same way that it used to on the Switch 1, which I really appreciate. Now, visually, this game does still look better than Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at the time of its launch. The resolution is a little bit lower still, but I mean, it's definitely not a bad looking game by any means. It just doesn't look as good or polished as a lot of other like just games looked, especially Nintendo games. But every Pokemon game looks pretty bad, to be honest. So after I revisited it, how do I feel? What do I think? Well, I think the exact same thing I just said. I think if you're picking it up today, it's a really, really good game still. It holds up. And when it comes to the story, I don't know if it's necessary to play before Legends ZA. It probably isn't, because this is set in the past and I think ZA is set in the future. So it's probably not really tying in that much. But I really like the open world map to this, the environments, the vibes. It feels so good. And catching Pokemon is the best in this game compared to any other game I've even played. In fact, I think this game could be better than Legends ZA. I'm not loving the whole fact that the Legends ZA is based in a city. I think that is going to feel completely different to this Arceus game, because in Arceus you're playing in a really big map that feels big. And when I played Pokemon Legends ZA early with Nintendo, it felt weird being in a city. It didn't feel like you were going on an adventure. It felt like you were just, visiting another city and there were Pokemon there. It didn't help that it didn't look as good, because the buildings just looked pretty janky. And yeah, I really think Pokemon Legends Arceus is worth it. I think you should test it out if you haven't played it yet, and I think you should play it before Pokemon Legends ZA, just because at least now it seems like a better game. There are some polished things that I'm sure ZA is gonna bring, but the fact that I played this whole game and enjoyed it as much as I did, especially as a non-mainline Pokemon fan, it's definitely worth checking out, and I recommend it. I give it many stars. So yeah, this is the dream Pokemon game for me, and I really think it's worth cracking into if you're interested in it. So that was my experience. I thought it was really fun, and let me know what you think about this game, and if you're picking up Legends ZA. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See you later.